today's safari through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve.
Max, why don't you sit?
Now, just before we get into the reserve itself, I'm going to ask everyone to please remain seated at all times. It can be rather bumpy out there, so I need everyone seated for the entire trip. But if you look up above your heads, you'll see some animal spotting guides. Use that to identify many of the animals that we should see out there on the reserve. Now, we won't see all of those animals up there. We might even see a few that are not up there. So get your cameras out so you can take plenty of pictures. Just have them ready at all times. You never know when the animals will appear. Now, is this anyone's first time riding Kilimanjaro safaris? Quite a few of you. Well, welcome, Karabuni. To those of you coming back, thanks for seeing us again. A better question, do you have any favorite animals you want to see out there?
Bannini tiger.
Giraffes, Nile crocodiles, rhinos, elephants.
Tigers aren't in Africa.
I don't know.
My favorite animal I always look for, it's called the springbok. So, the springbok's not up on that board, but it looks kind of like the Thompson's gazelle that's up there.
Mandarin.
So hopefully we'll be able to find everyone's favorite animals. Do my best to scout them out for you. But we're going to go ahead and enter the reserve in the Little Ituri Forest. Out here in the forest, animals' natural colorations have helped them blend into their surroundings. So they're kind of hard to spot at times, so just keep your eyes peeled. Oh wow, look across the water on the right. We'll see a dark brown animal with black and dark striped legs. Now that's called an okapi.
Yeah.
Now with those stripes, a lot of people think it's related to the zebra, but it's actually related to the giraffe. They have very similar head and neck structures and eating
What's it
habits
called?
as well.
Oh, copy. Oh, copy.
Also up there, see a small black animal with a yellow back. It's a yellow-backed diker. From the Afrikaans word diker, meaning to dive. Now look here on the left, on this hillside, there are two different types of antelope. So the copper-colored ones with the horns, those are called bongos.
On your left.
The lighter brown antelope without horns, those are greater kudus.
Over there.
Now having horns is not always a way to tell if it's male or female. So the greater kudus, these are female, they don't have any horns. But the bongos, both males and females, will have horns. So it just depends on the species, if horns are gender specific or not. Now the Ituri Forest is also home to black rhinos. Now catching even a glimpse of a black rhino can be very rare. There are less than 5,000 black rhinos left in the entire world. Sadly, they're being hunted and poached for their horns. And despite conservation efforts to help protect them, their numbers are still dropping. And as time goes on, it's becoming harder and harder to find them in the wild. It's like I'm not seeing anything around here. Now, we might have some better luck with some white rhinos as we get out into the savanna grasslands.
If you see that sign say, is this
Okay.
But before we make it on over towards the savanna grasslands, we're going to drive past the Safi River for a little while. Now, up in the Safi River, there's one very large animal you might recognize. It weighs almost 6,000 pounds when fully grown. Has a really big mouth. It'll spend most of the day in the river. Any guesses as to what it might be? Yeah, the hippos. We might find some Nile crocodiles in here as well. Now hippos, they can stay underwater for about 5 to 8 minutes at one time. So you might have to look underneath the surface, look for large boulder-like objects. It looks like there are some there. I'm gonna go further up the river, see if we can find any others. See if we might have some better views further up. They do live in family groups, so there should be plenty in the area. Oh yeah, it looks like there's a lot on the other side of this island. Wow. Well, Those large gray birds on the island are pink-backed pelicans. Actually turn a slight pink color during mating season. Wow, look at those hippos.
Oh, there they are.
Now, a group of hippos like this can be called a bloat.
You see the hippos in the water?
Nathan, look at me.
So weighing about 5,500 pounds, they'll spend most of the time in the river to keep those large bodies cool. It's usually nighttime when they do make it out onto the riverbanks to feed on grasses. But the word hippopotamus in Greek, it loosely translates to the river horse. Instead of actually swimming through the water, they walk and they trot along the river bottom. Oh, wow. Yikes, looks like we found those Nile crocodiles. I need everyone to stay seated as I go across this bridge.
From the crocodiles.
Nile crocodiles can grow to be 20 feet long. Very large and very
Nathan, look at me.
powerful. They have a crushing force in their jaw of about 2,000 pounds per square inch. And with one single breath, crocodiles can stay underwater for 2 whole hours. Very cool reptiles. But I think it's time to get away from the water, leave the forest behind, and head on into some savanna grasslands.
Bumpy, bumpy.
Now, the grasslands are a much drier environment, so the plants and the animals have adapted differently.
Oh my lord.
The plants have adapted to go long periods of time without water, like this tree up here. A perfect example. This is called a baobab. For about 9 months out of the year, it's going to look like this, with no leaves on it.
Isn't that pretty?
Well, it'll do that to save and conserve water.
Here.
But because its branches look a lot like roots, most people around here, we just call it an upside-down tree instead.
You gotta be careful, Max. This is bumpy. You gotta sit back.
Want to give your
The savanna grasslands like these
What is that?
stretch for hundreds of miles across Africa.
Our safari guide.
Now, being home to some of the more well-known, famous African animals like
Thank you.
giraffes and elephants and
Hi,
many
from
of
Columbus.
them
We're
that you
from
shouted
Cincinnati.
out earlier. This is the wild Africa we are trying so hard to conserve.
Now you can drive our truck, okay? That's my money back.
I think so.
Oh, looks like I see a giraffe up ahead.
Yes.
If there's any others in the area. Oh, also some wildebeest through the trees.
We'll see. I'm trying to go past it all.
Now, the wildebeest, they have one of the longest and largest animal migrations in Africa. That's how the animals have adapted to this drier environment. They will migrate and travel with the water from location to location in search of food and other resources they might need. Because so many animals out here migrate, the grasslands have been called Africa's superhighway.
Mommy.
What is that guy?
Okay, you gotta take a break.
Like I see a couple more giraffe up ahead.
There's the giraffe.
Giraffe are one of the main reasons the landscape looks like this. If you look at the trees, notice how there's a line about 20 feet high where nothing's growing below that point.
I won't touch you.
Because the giraffes that live here will trim and prune the trees up so tall, which allows more sunlight to reach the ground, helping all the grasses growing underneath.
I saw something on my window.
There's a wildebeest.
Then grazing animals like the wildebeest and many antelope, they're the ones that will mow the grass down and trim up all of the edges. So in a natural environment, there should be enough food for every animal living in the area.
The trees have metal
Does
netting.
Nathan see the wildebeest?
Those there, the wildebeest.
Now this giraffe directly in front of our truck might cross the road. This is a Maasai giraffe, so look at its pattern. It has a very jagged pattern.
Oh, there's one coming up.
Some say it's like an oak leaf.
Switch sides.
This is a Maasai giraffe, very large, fully grown, and 18
down.
to 20 feet high. There's quite a few giraffe in this area, but look on the left, you can actually see 2 baby giraffe down there. And also the small antelope. Those are my favorite animals, the springbok. Now the springbok are fully grown at about 3 feet tall. Oh, looks like we got another giraffe crossing the road.
Here, look. Sit down.
There we go.
Why did the giraffe cross the road?
Quite a few animals in this area. There's also another kind of antelope up on the hill to the left. The dark brown ones are sable antelope.
Why does
The sable antelope,
There's,
they're the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve.
I saw someone.
We'll continue on forward, see what else we can find out here. We've been passing by some large cones of dirt. Those are all termite mounds. Now they can be made and changed by animals as well. They can be as hard as concrete, so oftentimes they're used as scratching posts. But after they get worn down, they form smaller hills that are then used as lookout stands. But if you look at this giraffe's pattern here on the right, notice its pattern is different. It has narrow white lines instead of the bumpy jagged lines. So this giraffe is a reticulated giraffe. All the other ones we saw were Maasai giraffe. And no community out is complete without the bulldozers. To get rid of old stuff, make way for new things. The bulldozers out here are the elephants. They'll knock down the trees, trying to scratch their backs. But when that happens, it brings the nutrients back into the earth to help more plants growing in its place, starting the cycle all over again. As you can kind of tell, everything's connected out here. Everything has a reason and a purpose for happening. Well, that's why they call it the circle of life. Oh, but wow, look under the trees here on the left. Look at those large horns. Those are the Ankole cattle. Now, those horns can grow to be 5 or 6 feet long. But they're very lightweight. They're a honeycomb structure that actually acts as a radiator to help cool down the cattle.
I think that'd be a problem if you charged it.
Ankole. Now up ahead, we're going to pass by Monkey Point.
This is where
rock
you were born.
formation,
Nathan, this is where
named
you're
for the
born.
mandrill monkeys that live in this area.
Pay attention.
Now, Monkey Point, it also marks the edge of elephant country. So hopefully we will be able to find some African elephants while we're out here today.
It butts up to where Mommy was born.
I want to let you give me feedback since I already show up. I mean, I've shown up once and I've already given feedback. I can do that. Not a whole ball. I don't want to change
Looks like I do see an elephant up on the right. But we should be able to see that elephant again in a moment. But first, look at these mandrill monkeys here on the left. There's quite a few of them around here. Now, mandrill monkeys, they're the most colorful of all monkey species. They'll get the bright pink and blue noses when they become adults. They're also the largest monkey found in Africa. Quite a few of them in here. But let's go ahead and see if we can find any more.
There's a bunch of them.
Better view of this elephant up ahead. Hopefully this one elephant is a good sign there are more elephants in the area as well. I'm pretty sure there's another clearing. Yep, looks like we should have a great view.
Here, put your head down. Nathan, look over here.
Full-grown African elephants will weigh about 13 to 15,000 pounds, fully grown. So every day they'll eat around 300 pounds of vegetation.
Mommy, put that
Very
down.
large.
Here.
Sadly though, elephants are being hunted and poached for their tusks, which are made of ivory. Humans are also encroaching into their land, mining a metallic ore known as coltan, which is found in a lot of our electronics, like our cell phones and our laptops. So if we can recycle our used electronics, we can help reduce the amount of mining that goes on in their areas. But I'm hoping that one elephant is a good sign there are more elephants in the area, so let's see if we can find any others.
This is the most rickety bridge I've ever seen in my life. It's falling apart. It was bad.
Oh, good. It looks like I'm seeing more signs of elephants. There's footprints in the ground, even tusk marks in the clay. Elephants will actually eat this clay as part of their diet. It'll give them valuable minerals they cannot get from the vegetation. Sure enough, I see a couple elephants up ahead. Hopefully when I get out of these trees, we should have a clearer view. But oftentimes you will see elephants flapping their ears. They'll do that to cool down.
Like this?
It'll help lower their body temperature by about 15 degrees.
Are you cooler, Nathan?
Elephants are also matriarchal, meaning the females will be in charge of the family herd.
What?
They're all their little passages.
One's flapping their ear.
There you go. Right there.
Pull down.
What, Kelly? I can't get it.
There's another.
Yeah, I got it.
We already got it.
I got it right here. You see it? Stuff you like this. Sit over here now? No. Alright, good.
Back there.
Right, okay. Yeah, okay. Just north of town. A little bit south, you Blue Axe.
Yeah.
We're gonna go swimming. You guys ready to go swimming?
Yeah.
We're going through the water now. We're gonna find the hippopotamus. You ready to find the hippopotamus? Oh, there's an alligator, guys. Watch out, watch out. Put your stick your hand out, stick your hand out.
Look up ahead, looks like we found some flamingos.
I thought you were serious. I was like,
These look like they're greater flamingos. They're the lightest species, but also the largest of all flamingo species. When they're newly hatched from their eggs, they're actually gray in color. It takes about a year and a half for them to turn pink. That'll happen from their diet of brine shrimp, which contains beta-carotene.
look at that one. That's Lily's favorite. Careful, turkey.
Oh boy, maybe not as big as elephants, but still very large. Look at these white rhinos. White rhinos can weigh about 5,000 pounds. Very large.
I've seen a National Geographic a rhino run.
Run about 35 miles an hour as well.
Flip the vehicle.
They can walk 35.
Come over here.
Just like
Stand up.
black rhinos, they do face the same problems, where both are being hunted for their horns.
Look at me, Nathan.
Now, also down here, the dark brown antelope, these are called bontebok. Now, sadly, the bontebok are extinct in the
You got a big
wild.
old bit.
They can only be found on reserves and other protected areas like this.
Coming up. Yeah, there they are.
Everyone spotted that ostrich back there as well, the largest of all birds, standing 8 or 9 feet tall. Oftentimes, rhinos will cover themselves in a layer of mud that will act as a sunscreen, cool them down, and also protects them from the bugs. Wow, look up here on the hill. Look on the rocks right to the left. You'll see a cheetah laying down. Cheetahs are the fastest of all animals. They can run about 60 miles an hour. Some have even gone faster than that. But they have amazing eyesight, which they use to hunt during the day. Most large cats will do their hunting at nighttime. But they're also the largest cat that can purr. Well, the rule with cats, if they can purr, they cannot roar. And if they can roar, they cannot purr.
I didn't know that.
That's interesting.
Oh boy. Speaking of roaring cats, look up here on these rocks. There's a male lion up there. One of the more famous animal sounds, a lion's roar, can be heard over 6 miles away. Very loud animals.
You won't believe how.
Now lions will spend most of their time laying down, resting in the shade.
Stand up a little bit. Nathan, stand
About 18 to 20 hours
Look at me.
they'll
Look at me.
spend sleeping and resting.
up. Hold on.
It's usually nighttime when the lions are more active. That's when they'll do their hunting.
He is never out.
Now, the female lions will do most of the hunting.
Max is already tired.
Well, one time and one time only.
all the work.
Winter months when it was
Sounds
cold.
about right.
All the work.
There were some little deer.
Mommy right up there, you're right.
Standing
Works
right
just
in
right
the
there, but it's right next to the
roaring
truck.
so
We're gonna be missed all
loud. I
day.
couldn't believe how loud it was.
As long as he's up there.
That was awesome, Nick.
But they were
Oh boy, look off to the right. You can see a couple zebra down there in the trees.
Building them up there facing the
Zebra, surprisingly enough, their stripes act as a camouflage. They stick together in a group. It's harder for predators to spot a single member in the herd. Now once I get around these rocks, we should be able to see those zebra again. I want to stick to the rocks, see if we can find any other lions.
like a legend dance or something. Like that's a big ravine. Well, they can't
pretty slick.
Nathan, is that Simba up there?
Looks like you can still see the male lion up on the rocks. There's also a female down at the base of the large rock.
Oh, that, see, with the elephant ears.
Oh, looks like we found some warthogs too. Yeah, just like Pumbaa. Now, warthogs, they're the largest mammal that will dig burrows for shelters.
Look at me.
They're the ones that have dug these holes into the ground.
Okay.
Now, even with these short little legs, warthogs can run 30 to 35 miles an hour. Very fast for being so small. Look, here on the left, here's another ostrich. Looks like it's laying down right next to some ostrich eggs as well. Now, those eggs will weigh about 3 pounds each.
I know.
Whoa, did you see those eggs?
I'm sure you just responded to it yesterday. The break was there and everything. Yeah. I hope that's what he felt. Yeah. There was that break there. It wasn't like he said.
Mine is that small, just over, right?
So what's up with the chains? You keep the elephants up?
They pulled the animals within contained areas.
They don't like going over the chains?
With every set of chains, there's cattle guards, which are bars in the road.
Oh, okay.
The animal comes up.
Oh wow, look at these really cool horns. Very cool animals. These are attics.
Oh, okay.
They do.
Now the attics have adapted to a very dry environment.
Electricity running through them.
They can get most of the water they need from the plants they eat.
Do it once, they won't.
If necessary, they can go almost their entire lifetime without drinking any water.
Or you contain
Now
them.
they will drink water if it is available, but they're often faced with severe droughts. So they can go without it if necessary.
A predator prey situation where they get in trouble. So we can separate them by the chains and the cattle guards.
Wow. Max, do you want to sit on my lap, sweetie?
Now many of the animals that we have seen are considered to be endangered or threatened, meaning their populations are dropping. It's becoming harder and harder to find them in the wild. So reserves like this are great spots where we can find them, but where we can protect them as well and keep them around for future generations. But one thing that helps us accomplish that is we study the animals. We become more educated about our natural world. The more we can learn about their habits, and more importantly, how we interact with them, the better we can help protect them. And of course, it's like they say, knowledge is power. It's up to us what we do with the knowledge that we gain, but we can be the difference. I do hope everyone had a great time out there. We saw quite a few animals. Hopefully you got some great pictures, maybe even learned a few things along the way. But I will be dropping you off at this warden's post up ahead. From there it's just a short walk back up to the Harambe village where you can continue your adventures.
I drew some circles.
In Disney's Animal Kingdom